I mean, from the perspective of the party, yeah, there's always going to be a level that we are accountable for what we say, and it doesn't matter what medium that is in. But I'm of the view that ultimately there will be certain people that will try and regulate that, but you've got to be confident in who you are, and you've got to say what you want. And I think we've got a pretty good reign within our
Do you ever
party.
wake up in the morning? I talk a bit about this, about how social media is a window into organisations, whereas advertising and PR is a wall. And once you open that window, you actually see the good, the bad, and the ugly. Do you ever wake up in the morning and go, shit, what have I said? Does this make me look like a fool? Does this make all politicians look bad? Is there ever post-tweet regret going on there? Or any kind of regret in the morning, actually. There's all stories are good.
I do see what you mean about the window on everything. I mean, probably our equivalent to Toe is Trevor Mallard. Don't be offended by that, Toe. But,
who was hoping to step in virtually sometime.
Say that before you mention his name.
Trevor is a very, very honest tweeter, a little bit mysterious in his tweets. I
thought he was a fake. I thought he was a fake to start with. He was so good that I thought he wasn't real.
He's quite prolific, but it is honestly, it's Trevor. There's a little bit of a joke in the Labour caucus about. You will not see him go anywhere without his iPad. He's just absolutely addicted to social media. It's been a bit more of an issue since the crutches. But he is a really frequent, and you can even see his relationships with other caucus members in the way he interacts online, frequent fights with Claire Curran online about differing views on things. So it is a real window onto us. But in opposition, it's probably a bit easier than it is perhaps in government. I mean, we are, we're free to be very, very open. I don't know, I can't speak on behalf of government members, but I think we've probably got it easier. Yep. I would say one minister who I think is pretty frank on Twitter, Chris Finlayson. He's consistently nasty on Twitter. I think he's. I think it's a real insight. I thought you were going to say something
nice for a minute there.
The key thing is authenticity, which I know gets discussed a lot. But
and he's authentically nasty in person.
But for me, every politician's going to use it in a different way. And one of the hardest things that I find is the time. Because, as I say, and certain electorates will have different amounts of pressure on your time. And I think in Auckland Central, got a huge number of constituency cases and events. But what I guess I'm learning is that social media, in my view, is becoming increasingly more important, both from a constituency perspective, but also a big part of our job is we're dream catchers. We're people who catch ideas. And I'm learning that there's increasingly more value to be engaged in social media. But for me, it's that equation of how much time I have to spend on just getting my job done, and then how much time I think is of value in terms of social media. And everybody's going to have a different equation for that. But the most important thing is that there's authenticity about how you engage in that.
I mean, here's an example. The other week, I tweeted about hone. That joke about the milkshake. And, I thought it was really, really funny. And so Paula and we were having a milkshake. And so I tweeted it, and she said, go on. So I did. But the rule is, don't get your Prime Minister into a position where he has to answer a question about what you tweeted. And they asked him about the joke. I mean, I didn't understand where it all went. I just thought, shit, this was funny, and I put it up and let it go.
Where do your party leaders sort of collectively stand on social media? I mean, talking of authenticity, John Key ain't John Key. And is
well, he is.
Well,
I mean, what he puts out is
it's
true. He uses. The leadership uses Twitter and social networking and social media as just another tool to get their press releases out. I mean, and I accept that.
Use Twitter now. When I used to get up in the morning, I'd go through a variety of websites to get my news. I have that now. I follow the news and the news outlets I like, and so that's where I get my information from at the start of every day and periodically during the day. And the other reason I use it is to engage with people, so it's sort of a two-pronged thing. Whereas Facebook I use to have discussions. I put a starter up and see what sort of response I get, and it's a great place to test ideas. It's much harder to do that on Twitter, but it's about utilising your social media as best you can for you know, the avenues that you have.
I guess it's understanding what you're using it for, because politicians will use it for different things. So I've had experiences whereby I've probably tried to just talk more about not necessarily politics, but things that are more personal. But the thing about that is you're going to get criticised by some people. So, I mean, last night, if you look on my Facebook page, you'll see someone was laying into me for saying, oh, you know, I'm kind of sick of hearing about more frivolous, I want to hear about policy.
Oh, that was your caucus colleague.
Yeah, that's right. But so I think you've got to understand, you've got to be confident in what you're using it for. And some people will use it as a broadcast tool. Other people will use it as a two-way to just be who they are. And it's just understanding that different politicians might use it for different things.
Yep. I mean, you hear a lot in the corporate world about a disproportionate, perhaps, amount of attention being paid to the people on Twitter, the people on Facebook, particularly the noisy ones. And for those of you who are, you know, MPs who are deeply engaged with social media, is there a danger that the voices of those people will drown out the voices of the disconnected, the voices of the old, the voices of the poor, the voices of the people who aren't on Twitter 24/7?
I think it's a really good point. I think that's why I see it as in some ways an extension of some of the old school ways that we've always tried to connect with people. In some areas, it's probably becoming more of a replacement than it is in others. You know, I grew up in a pretty rural place where I know that, you know, if I was a political representative there, you would at your peril just rely on social media to be your way to engage with a much older demographic of people. But I think as a mixture, if you're still doing the things like, you know, door knocking people at their homes, where it's appropriate having an old school public meeting, but also holding setting up a Facebook group for an issue that's really important to you. But keeping that mixture and diverse range of contacting people and interacting with people is really important. I think the other thing that some MPs, I don't want to speak for everyone and you may or may not agree with me on this, but keeping in mind that I feel like on Facebook I'm talking to often a group of people who tend to agree with me, and I'm really mindful of that. Every so often get a person who'll come in and give me a bit of a ribbing, but on Twitter I feel like I often get a much more diverse range of views than necessarily I do on Facebook. And I'm always mindful of that. I never try and post something that I just want everyone to agree with me on, and so making sure I seek out views from more than just one medium is really important.
Yeah, Heather, I'm interested. As we've mentioned, you're a champion blogger, and you know the best blogs live in the comments. The post is just a starting point. What sort of dialogue goes on under these sort of 2 or 3 blogs that you sometimes post on a busy day? Is it a fertile place? Is it worth your effort?
Not nearly as much as it is on Facebook, I have to say. I was quite interested. I thought I would get a lot of commentary. The readership's good, so I'm getting a good number of hits, but not a huge number of comments. And what I do now is I post most of my blog pieces also on Facebook, particularly the ones I think that will generate some discussion, and that's the places I said before that I do have discussions. But I think Facebook is where you have the more detailed discussions and elicit more commentary than you do from anywhere else. Some blogs aren't like that, obviously. David Farrer's and Whale for example, would be obvious examples where they get quite a lot of toing and froing. But the quality of the comments there deteriorates rapidly, you know, most often. And you know, I've got better things to do with my time than worry about policing that sort of commentary.
Yep, Nikki?
I think, to come back to your original question, probably most politicians are pretty good at understanding what is noise and what's a genuine issue that needs to be listened to. So the Wellywood campaign is fantastic. It's an example where people power via social media just said, look, this is how it is, right?
While kids are starving in South Auckland.
But well, I guess the point is, Vaughan, the point is, Vaughan, that an issue like that...
Or some other issue.
But
anyway.
an issue like that, and the issue that you raise, right, is that there is, I feel very heartened that a group of New Zealanders can get behind, anyone actually around the world, can get behind an issue, and I think they can have more influence, and that's a wonderful thing about social media, is that I think there's more opportunity than ever before for people who would not rock up to an MP's office, but would go online and be a lot more brave to say their view, or join a page to actually influence issues. And I use the Wellywood sign, but maybe it's child poverty in New Zealand. And that is the great opportunity that we've got. And I've seen it individually. And we can all tell, I think, what are political activists and probably influencers.
And what's genuine
versus
need.
Random people. And you can tell it very simply. When someone comes through your Facebook page, they've got no friends who are in common. They come on, they join, they might have a bit of a go, which is great because they're actually getting engaged and they'd never be engaged before. And so there's more opportunity than ever to influence, I think.
But I get engaged with my nephew, and he's like the opposite of me in his politics, and he fair gives it heaps, and I can't help but give it back to him. But it's sort of like a whānau fight in front of everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and it's cool.
I've got one more question about listening and sort of gauging public opinion through social media before we go to the Twitter questions and to the floor questions. So if Amar, you can stand by on the microphone wherever you are. Yes, good man. Do any of the parties undertake formal social media monitoring?
I wouldn't have a clue. I'm not that high up the food chain.
Okay. So no? Yes?
No, I don't think so from our party's perspective, not in a formal sense. I think there are a variety of people who are monitoring some of the other MPs' accounts who keep a bit of a close eye on what's going on for them, but not monitoring in a formal sense in the way that we do mainstream media monitoring.
Do you mean reach?
I mean social media tools, Radian6 and all these different ways that you can scrape and listen and gauge the conversations and sentiment and see semi-objectively what the real issues are and what people are really talking about. So it surprises me if that's not happening.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly, as far as I know, aware of the tools that are being used in order to measure how far your message is spreading. And that's certainly something that we're very interested in. Also, though, we still tend to, I think, be quite reliant on some of the more crude measurements of unique visits to websites, for instance. But, it is something that as a political party, as all political parties are reliant on fundraising in order to fund their campaigns, social media is becoming a forum, a much cheaper way of interacting directly with people on mini campaigns. And so that's something that we've been looking at a little bit more because so often, so for instance, very openly, it's easy for me to say that Labour, had an asset sales campaign that was very obvious in an online presence. But for us, it is new territory, I think, for political parties.
So measurability is not a big part of your thinking at the moment.
It's a part of the new thinking, I think.
Yeah. Do you all know your clout scores?
Sorry?
Do you all know your clout scores?
No.
Do you all know what a clout score is?
I was shown one once, but it's not something I monitor.
Okay. I'll tell you all later.
Oh God.
What clout scores are.
I'd say mine.
I think two of you are higher than the PM, if that makes you feel warm on the inside.
Is that one of them me?
What's that? I'll tell you later. Okay. Take questions from the floor, please. Has anyone got something burning in their belly?
Who's first?
Come on, there's got to be someone out there. Questions from Twitter, I saw
Here we go. Here we have someone. One.
Okay.
Oh, there's one. Okay.
If they're higher than the PM. If they're higher than the PM, is that for like 24 hours with like an off-on cycle, or?
On the clout score?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't track clout scores minute by minute, but apart from my own, but when I checked this afternoon, they were higher than the PM last I looked. Yes.
Okay, we have a question from Jason Bryant, who's watching from where he is.
Lynn.
Will the politicians' time be included in the advertising spending bill? I don't know if that was a joke.
Politicians' Twitter time.
Yeah, maybe. Simon Young wants to know, did you write your own bio on Twitter? Or did someone else write it for you? So we've got
All of us?
All of us.
Yeah. Do you write your own Twitter bio?
Yeah, I think so.